Matthew Doran joins us now. Hello, Matthew. Now, what are we hearing about reported plans by Israel to fully occupy Gaza, and what's been the reaction to this?
It appears that this is the route that Benjamin Netanyahu wants to go down, seeing that there has been little progress made in actually achieving those key two goals of this war, which is returning the remaining Israeli hostages to Israel. There are 50 still held by Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad group in Gaza, 20 of whom are believed to still be alive. And the other goal, which is to completely destroy Hamas. There have been reports emerging throughout the week that the Israeli military has informed the government it can only do so much under this current operation, Operation Gideon's Chariots, as it's been called, and that the amount of land that Israel is now in control of, various estimates putting that at more than 70%, even up to more than 80% of Gaza, that is the limit of the military's ability at this stage without jeopardising the lives of those remaining Israeli hostages. So it appears Benjamin Netanyahu, based on these reports in the Israeli media, is wanting to go one step further to try to deliver on those goals. However, there is great concern that in totally occupying Gaza, in trying to take more land, that will further anger Hamas, and that it could put the lives of those remaining Israeli hostages who are still living at great peril. We were expecting Benjamin Netanyahu to convene a meeting of Israel's security cabinet today, local time. We have seen further reports again in the Israeli media that it will not be a full meeting of the cabinet. In other words, it won't be a meeting where this new approach to totally occupy Gaza is signed off on, but it will be a meeting between the Prime Minister and senior defence and security officials, particularly from the IDF, presenting a number of plans for this next stage of the war in Gaza, which has so far continued for 22 months and has left a death toll inside Gaza of in excess of 60,000 Palestinians, according to local health authorities.
As you mentioned, Mr. Netanyahu has recommitted to eliminating Hamas and securing the release of hostages. How much pressure is on him to achieve those goals? You mentioned they'll be having a meeting, but yeah, how much pressure do you think he's under at the moment?
There is significant pressure on the Prime Minister domestically because there has been a lot of time, energy and money spent on this war, and it has not actually delivered what he continues to say it will. We know that there is growing anger, really not only growing anger, it's anger that's been there for many months now in some parts of the community, saying that Benjamin Netanyahu has been continuing this war in Gaza simply to shore up his own political fortunes. There are some very loud voices within his coalition cabinet agitating for this war not only to continue but for it to be expanded even further. People like the National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, the Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, who have both said that aid should not actually be allowed into Gaza at all, that Hamas should be facing the consequences of its actions 22 months ago when it launched those deadly attacks on Israel on October 7, 2023, killing around 1,200 people and taking 250 hostage there. But it is also interesting to note this slight shift in some of the public sentiment in the last couple of months or so. This growing anger directed at Mr. Netanyahu is primarily looking at the issue of hostages, the fact that these hostages do remain in Gaza, that he has not brought them home. But there is also a growing concern around that humanitarian crisis developing in the Gaza Strip. These horrible scenes that have been shown right around the world are just starting to creep into Israeli media coverage in the last short while or so, and people are starting to be concerned about that humanitarian situation. It may be for a variety of different purposes, not necessarily concerned about the welfare of the Palestinian population, but concerned how it reflects on the country and what impact that would have moving forward. But there has been this detectable shift in that sentiment in the last short while.
And just lastly, Matthew, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has had a phone call with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. What did they talk about, and is he seeking one as well with Netanyahu?
The fact that Anthony Albanese has picked up the phone and managed to have a conversation with the leader of the Palestinian Authority. The key issues at the top of the agenda for the two men, not only the situation in Gaza currently, but how that could be dealt with going forward, and also this discussion which is happening right around the world on the issue of recognising a Palestinian state. Australia has not moved yet in the same direction as some of its key allies around the world, namely France, the UK and Canada, who have all said that they would be prepared to recognise a Palestinian state come September when the UN General Assembly meets in New York. Each of those countries have put slightly different bents on how they would go about it. France saying it's happening, the UK saying it will happen if Israel does not agree to any sort of ceasefire and hostage deal, and Canada saying that it would happen as long as there is reform of the Palestinian Authority. Mahmoud Abbas, who Anthony Albanese spoke to, has come under significant criticism for many, many years, with allegations that the PA is mired in corruption, that it is stale, that it hasn't held its own elections, and therefore it should not be put in a position where it has any role in running the Gaza Strip in the future. But regardless, there is, of course, this look to the future and what role the PA would have in the future governance of Gaza if and when this war is brought to a close. We know that Anthony Albanese, yes, he is also seeking a call with Benjamin Netanyahu, but so far that hasn't come to pass.
Matthew Doran, thank you very much for your time.